Ryan came home on a Tuesday evening, sat me down, and told me he was moving back in with Christine because she was sick and needed him. He said, "You'll understand one day," with such patronizing certainty. I felt my heart shatter but kept my face calm. I said, "Of course I understand," while my mind raced. I even offered to help him pack. As I folded his shirts that night, watching him text someone with a slight smile, something cold and clear settled in my chest. This wasn't about illness at all. Wednesday morning arrived with pale sunlight filtering through our bedroom curtains. I woke up before Ryan, as I always did, and for a moment, I almost forgot. Then I saw the suitcases lined up by the door, half packed, and reality crashed back in. Ryan stumbled out of the bedroom around 7:30, looking almost sheepish. He probably expected tears. Maybe screaming, maybe plates thrown against walls. Instead, I handed him a cup of coffee, black with 1 sugar, exactly how he liked it. "I thought we could get you packed up after breakfast," I said, my voice steady. "Do you need help sorting through your things?" He blinked at me, confused. "Alina, you don't have to do this." "Do what? Help my husband take care of someone who needs him? Of course I do." The words tasted like acid, but I kept my smile gentle. "That's what partners do, right? Support each other." He relaxed then, visibly. I watched the tension drain from his shoulders. He'd been braced for a fight, and my calm acceptance had disarmed him completely. Good. We spent the morning going through his closet. I asked practical questions. Did he need his winter coat? Would he want his good shoes or just casual ones? How long did he think he'd be gone? He fumbled through answers, never quite meeting my eyes. "Christine's really sick," he said at one point, folding a sweater badly. I resisted the urge to take it from him and fold it properly. "The doctors don't know how long recovery will take." "What does she have?" I asked, keeping my tone curious, not accusatory. "It's complicated. Something with her immune system. She needs someone there full time." "Doesn't she have family who could help?" Ryan's jaw tightened. "They're not available." "Look, Alina, I know this is hard to understand, but Christine and I have history. We were married for 8 years. I can't just abandon her when she needs help." I nodded slowly, like I was processing this, like it all made perfect sense. "Of course. I get it. You're a good person, Ryan. That's one of the things I love about you." His face softened. He actually looked grateful. "I knew you'd understand eventually. You're so mature about this." By noon, we'd packed 3 large suitcases and several boxes. I loaded them into my car while Ryan made phone calls, probably to Christine. Probably telling her how well this was going, how I wasn't causing any problems. The drive to Christine's house took 25 minutes. She lived in the suburbs, in a beautiful Victorian with a wraparound porch and a perfectly manicured lawn, much nicer than our modest townhouse. I'd only been here once before, years ago, at an awkward dinner party, where Christine had smiled at me with cold eyes and called me Ryan's new friend. I pulled into the driveway and helped Ryan unload. Christine opened the door before we even reached the porch. She was wearing black yoga pants and a fitted tank top, her dark hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail. She looked radiant, healthy, glowing even. "Alina," she said, her voice dripping with false warmth. "This is so kind of you." "Of course," I replied, setting down a box. "I just want to help." She touched Ryan's arm as he walked past her, a possessive gesture that made my stomach turn. They exchanged a glance, something intimate and knowing, and I felt like an intruder at my own husband's departure. I made several trips from the car to the house. Each time I passed through the doorway, I cataloged details. Fresh flowers on the entry table, no medical equipment anywhere. No pill bottles, no oxygen tanks, no wheelchair, nothing that suggested serious illness. The house smelled like vanilla and expensive candles. When the last box was inside, I turned to leave. Christine followed me to the door. "Thank you for being so understanding," she said, her hand resting on the doorframe. Not every woman would be this mature about her husband's obligations to his first family. The phrase hit me like a physical blow. First family. As if I was secondary. As if our marriage was less legitimate than theirs had been. They'd never had children. What first family? Of course, I managed, my voice tight. Take care. I walked to my car without looking back. My hands didn't start shaking until I was 3 blocks away. I had to pull over into a grocery store parking lot and grip the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. Get it together, I told myself. Breathe. Think. When I got home, the townhouse felt hollow. Ryan's absence was everywhere. The empty closet, the missing toothbrush, the gap on the bathroom counter where his cologne had been. I made myself a cup of tea I didn't drink and sat at the kitchen table. Then I did what I'd been planning to do since the moment Ryan had told me he was leaving. I started investigating. His office was easy to access. Ryan had never been particularly careful about privacy. I found his filing cabinet unlocked, his desk drawers full of papers he'd left behind in his hurry to pack clothes and personal items. I started with the credit card statements. Recent charges going back 3 months. Dinner at an expensive Italian restaurant on a Tuesday night when Ryan had told me he was working late. A hotel charge from 2 months ago, coinciding with a supposed business conference. Another hotel, another dinner, another lie. I pulled out our phone bill from last month. Hundreds of text messages to one number. Christine's number, I assumed. I checked the previous months. 6 months of constant communication. Hundreds and hundreds of messages. Then I found the printed email, tucked into a folder labeled personal. It was from Christine to Ryan, dated 3 weeks ago. I can't wait until we don't have to hide anymore. You promised you'd tell her by the end of the month. I'm tired of being your secret. We deserve to be together openly. Like we should have been all along. My hands trembled as I read it again. End of the month. That was next week. He'd planned this. They'd planned this. I kept digging. In the back of the filing cabinet, I found a folder of real estate documents. A listing for Christine's house, printed 2 weeks ago. The house was for sale. Listed at $340,000. Why would she be selling her house if she was too sick to live alone? I found more documents. Life insurance papers showing Ryan had recently added Christine as a beneficiary. A copy of his will, also recent, with Christine listed and my name conspicuously absent. Changes to his 401k, adding Christine. He'd been systematically removing me from his financial life, while I'd been obliviously cooking dinner and planning our future. I sat back in his desk chair, staring at the evidence spread before me. This wasn't a sudden decision to help a sick ex-wife. This was calculated, planned, methodical. They thought I'd crumble. They thought I'd file for divorce in humiliation. Maybe take whatever scraps they offered just to make it go away quickly. They thought my calm acceptance today meant I was weak. They didn't know who they were dealing with. I gathered all the documents, took photos of everything with my phone, and carefully put them back exactly as I'd found them. Then I went to bed, not to sleep, but to plan. Thursday morning, I called in sick to work for the first time in 3 years. My boss, Sharon, sounded concerned. "Are you okay, Alina? You never take sick days." "Just a bad migraine," I lied. "I'll be back tomorrow." I had things to do that couldn't wait. First, I called Jennifer, an old friend from college who'd become a divorce attorney. We'd stayed close over the years, meeting for coffee every few months. "Alina," she answered brightly. "Long time. How are you?" "I need a favor. Can we meet? Today?" Her tone shifted immediately. "What's wrong?" "Ryan left me. I need advice." We met at a coffee shop downtown an hour later. Jennifer arrived in a sharp gray suit, her briefcase in hand, looking every bit the successful attorney she'd become. I told her everything while she took notes. When I finished, she sat back and sighed. "Alina, I'm so sorry. but I need to be honest with you about the legal situation. Tell me, if you file for divorce right now, it could actually work against you. Ryan left to care for an allegedly ill ex-spouse. Family courts look favorably on that kind of caregiver behavior. He could argue that you were unsupportive during a medical crisis. It could affect the asset division. I felt my stomach drop. You're saying his lie actually helps him? In the short term, yes. Unless you can prove Christine isn't actually sick, which is hard to do without medical records, you have no legal right to access. She paused. There's something else. You said you have a joint savings account? Yes. Why? You should check it. Now. I pulled out my phone and logged into our bank app. The joint savings account showed a balance of $200. It had held $47,000 2 weeks ago. He emptied it, I whispered. Jennifer's expression was grim. Technically legal from a joint account, but incredibly unethical. Did he tell you he was doing this? No. We can argue that in court, but it's going to be an uphill battle. The money is gone, Alina. Even if a judge orders him to return half, that could take months. I drove past Christine's house after leaving Jennifer. I parked down the street where I could see the front windows without being obvious. Within 10 minutes, I saw them. Ryan and Christine, visible through the living room window, laughing together. She handed him a glass of wine. He pulled her close. They kissed. I took photos, but even as I did, I knew they weren't enough. They were married once. They could claim they'd rekindled their romance after he'd moved in. Infidelity is hard to prove when there's that much history. My phone rang as I was driving home. Our landlord, Mr. Peterson. Mrs. Alina, I received a call from your husband. He says you're breaking the lease due to family relocation for medical reasons. Is this correct? My blood went cold. What? No, we're not breaking the lease. He was very insistent. He said he'd pay the lease break fee of $8,000. I told him I'd need to speak with you first since both your names are on the lease. $8,000. Money we didn't have, especially now that Ryan had emptied our savings. Mr. Peterson, please don't process anything. I'll call you back. Before I could process that, another call came in. Unknown number. Hello? Is this Alina Harper? A woman's voice. Professional. Yes. This is Sarah from Blue Cross. I'm calling to confirm that your health insurance coverage will be terminated as of next Monday. Your husband called to report a separation and requested removal of the spousal coverage. He did what? I'm sorry. Is this not accurate? If you're not actually separated, you'll need to have him call back and reverse the request. I hung up and immediately tried to call Ryan. The call went straight to voicemail. I tried again. Same thing. I sent a text. It showed as delivered, but not read. He'd blocked me. An email notification popped up on my phone. From our joint accountant, Bernard. Per Ryan's request, I'm forwarding all tax documents to his new address. Please confirm this is acceptable. I pulled over again, my hands shaking too badly to drive safely. Ryan wasn't just leaving. He was systematically dismantling our shared life, making it impossible for me to function, cutting off every resource I had. I drove to the bank next, desperate to contest the savings account withdrawal. The manager, a middle-aged man with sympathetic eyes, listened patiently before shaking his head. I'm sorry, Mrs. Harper. It was a joint account. Both parties have equal rights to withdraw funds. There's nothing we can do unless you have a court order. But he didn't tell me. Doesn't that matter? Legally? No. Morally? That's between you and him. I left the bank feeling hollow. Every move I made to fight back was hitting a wall. The system was set up to protect joint assets, in theory, but in practice, whoever moved first could take everything. That evening, desperate and furious, I drove back to Christine's house. I had to confront them, had to make them understand they couldn't do this. I rang the doorbell. Christine answered, still looking infuriatingly healthy and beautiful. She smiled when she saw me. Alina, what a surprise. I need to talk to Ryan. Ryan doesn't want to speak with you right now. This is a difficult time for him, and you showing up here is just making it harder. He emptied our bank account. He's canceling my health insurance. I have a right to talk to him. Christine's smile didn't waver. You're harassing us, Alina. Ryan has moved on. You need to accept that and move on too. She pulled out her phone. I'm documenting this visit. If you come back, I'll file a restraining order. Do you understand? The door closed in my face. I stood there for a long moment, shocked into stillness. Then I walked back to my car and drove home in a daze. That night, I received an email. Legal documents attached. Ryan was filing for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences, and horrifyingly, claiming I'd had an affair. A complete fabrication, but there it was in black and white. The email also included a request for a restraining order against me, claiming I was unstable and threatening. I called Jennifer immediately. She answered on the second ring, her voice heavy with sleep. Alina? It's almost midnight. He's claiming I had an affair. He's asking for a restraining order. Jennifer, I never cheated. Not once. He's lying. I'm so sorry. Listen to me carefully. Do not contact him again. Do not go to that house again. Christine is a paralegal. She knows exactly how to manipulate the system. The affair allegation is their strategy. Even if it's false, fighting it will cost tens of thousands of dollars and drag you through the mud. So what do I do? Right now? Nothing. Let me handle this. But Alina, you need to understand. You've made this worse by confronting them. They're painting you as the unstable one now. Every time you've tried to fight back, you've given them more ammunition. I hung up and sat in my empty townhouse, feeling the walls close in. I'd tried to investigate. I'd tried to gather evidence. I'd tried to fight fair. And all I'd done was hand them exactly what they needed to destroy me. I needed to stop playing their game and start playing my own. Friday morning arrived gray and cold. I hadn't slept. Instead, I'd spent the night doing what I should have done from the beginning. Thinking like they thought. Calculating. Strategic. Ruthless. I created a fake social media account under a generic name and started researching Christine's life in detail. Her profiles were surprisingly public. Instagram showed a life of health and wellness. Marathon runs completed just last month. Yoga instructor certification she'd received 3 weeks ago. Posts about green smoothies and meditation retreats. Zero evidence of illness. Not a single mention of doctors, treatments, or health struggles. I dug deeper. LinkedIn showed she'd quit her paralegal job at a law firm 6 weeks ago, right around the time Ryan started withdrawing money from our account. Her Venmo account was public, and I scrolled through months of transactions. Ryan's name appeared dozens of times. Household expenses, medical bills, emergency funds. Payments going back at least 4 months, hundreds of dollars at a time. Then I found the property records through the county assessor's website. Public information, completely legal to access. Christine's house had sold 3 weeks ago. Closed escrow. Sales price $340,000. The house had been paid off completely in her divorce settlement from Ryan 5 years ago. She'd just walked away with over $300,000 in cash, plus whatever Ryan had been giving her. But where was all that money going? I needed to know more. I needed access to information I shouldn't have. I made a decision that would either save me or destroy me. I knew Ryan's passwords. He'd used the same ones for years, never bothering to change them even after our marriage. I'd never violated his privacy before, but these weren't normal circumstances. I logged into his email account remotely. My heart pounded as his inbox loaded. Hundreds of unread messages, but I searched for Christine's name. The emails went back 8 months. I started reading from the beginning, and with each message, My understanding of the betrayal deepened. 8 months ago. I miss you. I never should have let you go. We can fix this. 7 months ago. We need a plan. She won't just step aside. We have to be smart about this. 6 months ago. A detailed outline. Christine would claim illness. Ryan would leave me to care for her, establishing his residency at her address. This would make him look sympathetic in divorce court. Meanwhile, Christine would sell her house. They'd use my divorce settlement money combined with her house sale proceeds to buy a luxury property together on Lake Tahoe. 5 months ago. The affair allegation is key. If we claim she cheated, even with no proof, it'll reduce what she gets in the settlement. The court will at least question her character. 4 months ago. Ryan adding Christine to his life insurance, his 401k, his will. All documented in forwarded emails with instructions from Christine, the paralegal, who knew exactly how to execute this plan. 3 months ago. Once we're married again, your second marriage to that girl will just be a blip. We never should have divorced in the first place. This is just correcting a mistake. 2 months ago. Property listings for Lake Tahoe. A beautiful house right on the water. 4 bedrooms, private dock. $3.2 million. They'd already put down a deposit using money Ryan had withdrawn from our account. Last month, just a few more weeks of playing caretaker, then we're free. She was always too trusting. This is almost too easy. I read every email twice, taking screenshots of everything. Clear evidence of a conspiracy to defraud me. Proof that the whole illness story was fabricated. Admission of their affair. Documentation of financial manipulation. I had them. Finally, I had them. I called Jennifer immediately, barely able to contain my excitement. I found proof, I said as soon as she answered. Emails between Ryan and Christine. They planned everything. The fake illness, the financial manipulation, all of it. I have screenshots. Silence on the other end. Jennifer? How did you get these emails, Alina? I accessed his email account. Did you have his permission? No, but I knew his password. We're married. That counts for something, right? Alina, no. That's unauthorized access to a private account. It's illegal. We can't use any of this evidence in court. If you try, you could face criminal charges for hacking. The excitement drained out of me. But it's proof. Illegally obtained proof. It's inadmissible. More than that, if Ryan finds out you accessed his account, he'll use it against you. He'll claim you're stalking him, invading his privacy. It'll support his claim that you're unstable. So I have proof they're lying, and I can't use it? I'm sorry. I really am. But that's how the law works. You can't break the law to expose someone else's wrongdoing, not in civil court. I hung up feeling defeated. I had the truth in my hands, and it was completely useless. But worse was coming. That afternoon, I received a notification from the court. Ryan had filed a motion for emergency spousal support. The filing claimed that since he'd left the marital home to provide full-time care for his ill ex-wife, a noble and selfless act, I should be required to pay him temporary support during divorce proceedings. His attorney argued that I made more money as a marketing consultant. Ryan was now unemployed because he was a devoted caregiver. Therefore, I owed him support. The hearing was scheduled for Monday, 3 days away. Jennifer called me within an hour. Did you see it? Yes. Alina, this is bad. If the judge grants this, you'll have to pay Ryan $3,000 per month until the divorce is finalized. That could take a year or more. That's $36,000 minimum. I don't have that kind of money. He emptied our savings. I know, but the judge won't care. You have income. He'll see this as equitable. I sat in my empty townhouse, staring at those screenshots of emails I couldn't use, facing a court date where I'd be ordered to pay my cheating husband thousands of dollars per month to support the life he was building with his ex-wife. They'd thought of everything. Every legal angle, every possible move I could make. They'd built the perfect trap. But they'd made one mistake. They underestimated what a desperate woman with nothing left to lose could do. Friday evening, I sat at my kitchen table with a glass of wine. I wasn't drinking, and made a decision. If I couldn't use the evidence legally in court, I'd use it differently. I created a detailed document, a timeline of Ryan and Christine's affair, complete with the screenshots I'd taken. I included the emails about their plan, the financial manipulation, the fake illness story. Everything laid out clearly and undeniably. Then I sent it to Ryan's family. His mother, Patricia, who'd always been kind to me. His brother, Tom, who'd stood as best man at our wedding. His Aunt Carol, who'd knitted us an Afghan as a wedding gift. I sent it to our mutual friends, couples we'd had dinner with, people from Ryan's work, our neighbors. The email was simple. I thought you should know the truth about Ryan and Christine. For a few hours, I felt vindicated. My phone started ringing almost immediately. Patricia called, her voice shaking with anger at her son. Tom sent furious texts. Friends reached out with shock and apologies for believing Ryan's story about Christine's illness. I'd exposed them. Finally, the truth was out. I went to bed that night feeling like I'd won something back. Not everything, but at least my dignity. At least people knew the truth now. Saturday morning, I woke to 17 missed calls. Not from supporters. From Jennifer. I called her back immediately. Alina, what did you do? Her voice was tight with controlled panic. I sent the evidence to his family and friends. I know I can't use it in court, but I wanted people to know the truth. You just committed career suicide. Ryan and Christine are claiming you're having a mental breakdown. They're saying you're stalking and harassing them, that you hacked Ryan's personal accounts, which you did. Christine sent cease and desist letters to everyone you contacted, threatening defamation lawsuits. But everything I sent was true. Truth doesn't matter if you obtained it illegally. Ryan filed an emergency motion for a protective order this morning. He's claiming you're unhinged and dangerous. The hearing is Monday morning, before the spousal support hearing. Jennifer, I was just trying to tell the truth. I know, but you've made everything so much worse. They're not the villains anymore, Alina. You are. They're victims of your harassment campaign now. By Saturday afternoon, the full consequences became clear. Ryan's family stopped returning my calls. His mother sent a brief text. We can't be involved in this. Please don't contact us again. Friends who'd been supportive that morning were now silent. The cease and desist letters had scared them off. Ryan's attorney sent a letter to Jennifer. They were now seeking full spousal support and adding a new claim to the divorce filing, intentional infliction of emotional distress. They wanted damages for the harassment campaign I'd launched. Sunday morning, my boss called. Someone had sent an anonymous complaint to our company's HR department. The complaint claimed I'd been using company time and resources to stalk and harass my ex-husband. It wasn't true. I'd done everything on my personal time, on my personal devices, but the company had to investigate. I'm putting you on unpaid leave pending the investigation, Sharon said, her voice apologetic but firm. I'm sorry, Alina. My hands are tied. Unpaid leave. No income. The rent was due in 5 days. The lease break fee was still outstanding. And I had a court hearing Monday where I'd likely be ordered to pay Ryan $3,000 a month. Sunday afternoon, the landlord sent an official eviction notice for the $8,000 lease break fee I couldn't pay. Sunday evening, alone in the townhouse I was about to lose, I received an email directly from Christine. You tried to turn people against us, and it backfired beautifully. Tomorrow, the judge will see what everyone else sees, a bitter, unstable woman who can't accept that her husband moved on. You'll be paying us for the next year, and when the divorce is final, you'll get nothing. You should have just let him go quietly. But thank you for making this so much easier for us. Attached was a photo. Ryan and Christine at an expensive restaurant, champagne glasses raised, smiling at the camera. Between them on the table was a real estate brochure for a lake house. My lake house. The one they were buying with my money. I sat in the dark, my phone glowing in my hand, and felt something inside me crystallize. Not anger anymore. Something colder, more focused. They thought they'd won. They thought they'd destroyed me. They'd systematically taken everything. My marriage, my money, my reputation, my job, my home. But they'd forgotten something. When I packed Ryan's bags that Tuesday night, when I drove him to Christine's house with a calm smile, I wasn't being weak. I was being strategic. And while they'd been celebrating their victory, I'd been preparing the one move they'd never see coming. Monday morning arrived cold and bright. I dressed carefully for court. A simple navy suit, minimal jewelry, hair pulled back neatly. I looked professional, composed, nothing like the unhinged woman Ryan and Christine were portraying. Jennifer met me outside the courthouse. "Are you ready?" "Yes." "Alina, I have to warn you. This isn't going to go well. The harassment evidence is strong. The judge will likely grant the protective order and the spousal support. Our best strategy is damage control." "I understand." We walked into the courtroom together. Ryan and Christine were already there, sitting close together on the opposite side. Christine wore a cream-colored blouse and looked elegant and sympathetic. She even had a cane leaning against her chair, I noticed, a prop for the illness story. The judge, an older man named Judge Harrison, entered and we all rose. The proceeding began with the protective order hearing. Ryan's attorney, a sharp woman in her 50s named Miss Bradley, presented their case: the harassment campaign, the stolen emails, the unstable behavior. She painted a picture of a woman unraveling, dangerous, obsessed. Jennifer countered weakly. What could she say? Most of it was true. I had accessed Ryan's emails without permission. I had sent information to his family and friends. The evidence was there. Judge Harrison looked at me over his reading glasses. "Mrs. Harper, these are serious allegations." I stood. Jennifer touched my arm, a warning to stay silent, to let her speak. But I shook my head gently. "Your Honor, may I address the court?" Jennifer tensed beside me, but nodded reluctantly. "Your Honor, everything Miss Bradley said is true. I did access my husband's email. I did send information to his family. I did it because I was hurt and scared, and I reacted emotionally instead of legally. It was wrong, and I apologize." The courtroom was silent. Ryan and Christine exchanged confused glances. I continued. "I apologize to Mr. Harper for invading his privacy. I apologize to Miss Christine for the distress I caused. I was reacting to heartbreak, and I handled it poorly. I'm prepared to accept whatever consequences the court deems appropriate." Judge Harrison studied me for a long moment. "You're admitting to these actions?" "Yes, Your Honor. Completely. I take full responsibility." "And you agree to cease all contact with Mr. Harper and Miss Christine?" "Absolutely. They deserve their privacy and their peace." The judge looked surprised. So did everyone else. Jennifer was gripping her pen so tightly, her knuckles were white. "Well," Judge Harrison said slowly, "this is unexpected. Mrs. Harper, I appreciate your honesty and your willingness to take accountability. I'm going to grant a temporary protective order, but I'm also going to note your cooperation in the record." He moved on to the spousal support hearing. Miss Bradley presented Ryan's case: the noble caretaker, the abandoned spouse, the financial need. Jennifer tried to argue, but she didn't have much to work with. Judge Harrison looked ready to rule. Then I stood again. "Your Honor, if I may?" He nodded, looking curious now. "I agree to the spousal support. $3,000 per month. I'll make the first payment by the end of this week." I turned to look at Ryan and Christine directly. "I'm sorry for everything." I hope you both find happiness together. Ryan looked completely baffled. Christine's eyes narrowed slightly, suspicious, but she said nothing. Judge Harrison granted the spousal support order. Court was adjourned. As we filed out, Christine whispered something to Ryan. I couldn't hear it, but I could read her lips. See? I told you she'd break. Ryan squeezed her hand. They left together, Christine leaning on her unnecessary cane, playing the part perfectly. Jennifer pulled me aside in the courthouse hallway. What are you doing? Why did you surrender everything? Trust me, I said quietly. Alina, you just agreed to pay $3,000 a month to your cheating husband. You don't have that money. You're on unpaid leave. This doesn't make sense. I know, but I need you to trust me. Can you do that? She looked at me for a long moment, then sighed. I hope you know what you're doing. I did. After leaving the courthouse, I drove directly to meet with someone I'd hired over the weekend, using the last of my emergency credit card. A private investigator named Marcus, retired police detective, recommended by a friend of a friend. Marcus was waiting at a diner on the edge of town. He was in his 60s, gray hair, weathered face, sharp eyes. Miss Harper, he greeted me, sliding a folder across the table. I have what you asked for. I'd hired him Friday night, before everything fell apart over the weekend. I'd given him specific instructions. I didn't need him to find evidence of Ryan and Christine's affair. I already had that, useless as it was. I needed him to find out what Christine was really doing. Marcus had been following Christine for 72 hours. The folder contained photographs, time, stamped, and dated. Friday afternoon, Christine meeting a man at an upscale hotel bar. They sat close together, intimate. Friday evening, the same man and Christine entering a hotel room together. Saturday morning, Christine leaving the hotel alone. Saturday afternoon, Christine meeting the same man at a different location, a waterfront restaurant. Who is he? I asked. Harold Patterson, 50, 2 years old. Real estate developer, very wealthy. Married, 3 kids. Marcus tapped another photo. This is his wife, Eleanor. She's a divorce attorney. Pretty successful one, too. So Christine is having an affair with a married man while pretending to be with Ryan? Looks that way. There's more. Marcus pulled out additional documents. I did some background on Christine. Her paralegal license was suspended 6 months ago for ethical violations. She forged documents in a case. She never told Ryan, based on what you've told me about their correspondence. She's not even a licensed paralegal? Not anymore. She's been practicing without a license. That's a criminal offense. He pulled out more papers. I also found records of her previous marriages, 2 before Ryan. Both ended with substantial settlements. One ex-husband filed a fraud complaint, claimed she'd lied about being pregnant to get him to marry her. The complaint was dropped when he couldn't prove intent to defraud. I stared at the folder. She's a con artist. Professional level, Marcus agreed. Ryan isn't her partner. He's her mark. My guess? She's playing multiple angles, using Ryan for whatever she can get, while also working Harold Patterson. When she's done with both, she'll move on. Does Ryan know about Harold? Doubt it. She's been very careful. Different locations, different times. But she's also been sloppy in some ways. Arrogant. She doesn't think anyone's watching. An idea was forming. A real plan. Not the desperate fumbling I'd been doing all week. Marcus, I need you to do 2 more things. Name it. First, send these photos of Christine and Harold to Eleanor Patterson. Make it look like an anonymous tip from a concerned party. He nodded. Easy enough. Mrs. Patterson will definitely want to know. Second, contact Ryan's employer, the company he's supposedly on family leave from. Send them anonymous evidence that Ryan isn't actually caring for anyone. Photos of him and Christine at restaurants, bars, living a normal social life. Make them question the family leave. You want him fired? I want him to have to choose between lying and getting caught. Marcus smiled slightly. You're playing chess now, instead of checkers. I'm done being reactive. It's time to be strategic. That evening, Monday night, I prepared the final piece, the elegant move. The thing I'd been planning since Tuesday when I packed Ryan's bags with steady hands and a quiet mind. I wrote a letter. Not a long one. Simply, direct, devastating. Dear Christine, I saw you're back with Ryan. I thought you should know he came to my law office last week asking about asset protection in divorce. He specifically wanted to know how to shield an inheritance from a former spouse. His grandmother is dying and leaving him $800,000. He was very clear he doesn't want to share it with anyone from his past. I thought you should know what he really thinks of you. A concerned friend. It was complete fiction. Ryan had no dying grandmother, no inheritance, no secret wealth. But Christine didn't know that. I addressed the envelope to Christine, drove to their house after dark, and slipped it into the mailbox. Then I drove home and waited. Tuesday morning, I woke to 17 missed calls from Ryan. I ignored them. Let him call. Let him panic. Marcus called me at 9. It started. Eleanor Patterson received the photos this morning. She's already contacted a forensic accountant and filed for separation from Harold. Harold called Christine in a panic and ended everything. He's terrified of his wife. And Ryan's employer? They called him first thing this morning. Demanded he return to work immediately or face termination. He's scrambling. Perfect. There's one more thing. Christine found the letter you left in the mailbox. My heart raced. How do you know? I've got surveillance set up outside the house. Watched her check the mail this morning, read something, then storm back inside. 20 minutes later, they were screaming at each other. I couldn't hear the words, but it was intense. The letter had landed. Christine thought Ryan was hiding $800,000 from her. Money she'd expected to share. Money that would make all her scheming worthwhile. Ryan had no idea what she was talking about, which made him look like a liar. I imagined them tearing each other apart. Christine accusing, Ryan denying. Neither one trusting the other because their entire relationship was built on deception. Tuesday afternoon, Ryan showed up at my townhouse. I watched him through the window, debating whether to answer. He looked terrible. Unshaven, exhausted, desperate. I opened the door, but stood in the doorway, blocking entry. My phone was in my hand, recording obviously. You have 30 seconds before I call the police for violating the protective order you wanted. Alina, please. I need to talk to you. 25 seconds. Christine kicked me out. She thinks I'm hiding money from her. I'm not. There's no inheritance. I don't know what she's talking about, but she won't listen. 20 seconds. I made a mistake. A huge mistake. Christine has been acting strange. I found out she's not even sick. I mean, I knew she wasn't dying or anything, but she's completely healthy. There was never any medical situation. You knew she was lying? I kept my voice calm, conversational, making sure the recording was clear. Yes, I knew. But I thought we were in love. I thought we were building something together. So you lied about her being sick to justify leaving me? Yes. He ran his hands through his hair. God, Alina, I've been so stupid. She's been using me. I see that now. She only cares about money. And whose money were you planning to spend on her? Oh, right. Our money. The money you stole from our joint account. I didn't steal it. I was going to use it for our future. Me and Christine. We put a deposit on a house. So you admit you withdrew our savings to buy a house with your affair partner? He hesitated, then nodded miserably. Yes. And the divorce filing? The fake affair allegations against me? Christine wrote that part. She said it was strategy, that it would help in court. He looked at me with desperate eyes. I know how this sounds. I know I've destroyed everything. But I still love you. I never stopped loving you. You have 5 seconds. Alina, please? Can we work this out? Can we try again? Leave. Now. He left, defeated and broken. I closed the door and checked the recording. Perfect. Crystal clear, Ryan admitting to everything. The fake illness, the stolen money, the fabricated affair allegations. All of it voluntary, on camera, completely legal. I sent the video to Jennifer immediately. She called within minutes. Alina, this is incredible. This changes everything. We can use this. It's legal evidence obtained with his knowledge. He saw you were recording. I know. File a motion to dismiss his divorce petition and countersue. We can use this recording to prove fraud, theft of marital assets, defamation. You might actually win this. For the first time in days, I felt something like hope, but it didn't last. Wednesday morning, I was served with new legal papers. Christine had filed a lawsuit against me personally, not through Ryan, her own separate action. The claim: fraud and intentional infliction of emotional distress. She was suing me for $100,000 in damages. Her evidence: the letter in the mailbox. Somehow, she'd figured out it was from me. Jennifer called, her voice tight. How did she know you wrote that letter? I don't know. I was careful. Not careful enough. She's claiming the letter was fraudulent, that it destroyed her relationship with Ryan, that it caused her severe emotional distress. If you can't prove Ryan actually has this inheritance, she could win. You fabricated evidence, Alina. But it was just a letter. I didn't forge anything official. Doesn't matter. You created a false document that caused measurable harm to her life. That's textbook fraud in civil court. Wednesday afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Alina, Christine's voice, calm and controlled. We need to talk. I have nothing to say to you. I think you do. I know what you're trying to do. Turn Ryan and me against each other. It almost worked. Almost. But I'm smarter than you. I've been running cons since before you were out of college. My blood went cold. She was admitting it, bragging even. Here's what's going to happen, Christine continued. You're going to drop all your counter claims in the divorce. You're going to pay Ryan the spousal support for 6 months. And you're going to give me $50,000 to settle my lawsuit. If you don't, I'll drag you through court for years. I'll make sure you never work again. I'll tell everyone you're a fraud who forges letters. Ryan will testify for me. I've convinced him you're trying to manipulate both of us. You're blackmailing me. I'm negotiating. There's a difference. You have until Friday to decide. Oh, and that private investigator you hired? Marcus, right? I found out about him. I've filed a harassment complaint with his licensing board for stalking. He'll lose his license. You have no allies left, Alina. Just pay up and disappear. The call ended. I sat in stunned silence. She'd countered every move, found out about Marcus, turned Ryan back to her side, figured out the letter was from me. Christine was better at this game than I'd realized. She was a professional, and I was an amateur. Friday was in 2 days. The spousal support payment was due. Her settlement demand deadline. The walls were closing in from every direction. I had one card left to play, the nuclear option. The move I'd been saving since the moment Ryan walked out the door. It was time to burn it all down. Thursday morning, I made one phone call. To Jennifer. I need you to trust me one more time. Tomorrow in court, I need you to let me speak. Don't try to stop me. I know what I'm doing. Alina, what are you planning? Justice. Friday arrived. The follow-up hearing to confirm my first spousal support payment and address Christine's lawsuit motion. Ryan and Christine arrived together, looking confident. United again. Christine had played her hand beautifully, convincing Ryan the first was the enemy, that my letter had been a manipulation tactic. Judge Harrison took the bench. We're here to confirm Mrs. Harper's compliance with the spousal support order and to hear preliminary arguments on Miss Christine's civil suit. Mrs. Harper, have you made the first payment? I stood. Your Honor, I have not. But I'd like to present evidence that fundamentally changes the nature of this case. Miss Bradley, Ryan's attorney, objected immediately. Your Honor, Mrs. Harper is in contempt for non-payment. Your Honor, Jennifer interjected, standing beside me. Please allow Mrs. Harper to present her evidence. It's substantial and material to all pending matters. Judge Harrison looked intrigued. Proceed, Mrs. Harper, but make it quick. I opened my briefcase and pulled out the folder I'd been preparing all week. Your Honor, I'd like to present a forensic accounting report prepared by certified public accountant David Chen. I handed copies to the judge, to Miss Bradley, and kept one for myself. This report traces the $47,000 my husband withdrew from our joint savings account. The money did not go to medical expenses, as claimed. It went into a joint account Mr. Harper opened with Miss Christine 3 months before he left me. Ryan's face went pale. Christine remained expressionless, but I saw her hand tighten on the armrest. That joint account was used to purchase an investment property in both their names. Not a residence, an investment. They planned to flip it for profit and split the proceeds using marital assets I had equal claim to. Judge Harrison's expression hardened. Go on. Furthermore, Your Honor, Miss Christine is not a licensed paralegal, despite representing herself as such. Her license was suspended 6 months ago for ethical violations, specifically forging documents in a legal case. She has been practicing law without a license, including drafting Mr. Harper's divorce petition and legal motions. This is a criminal offense. I handed over more documents. Copies of Christine's license suspension, official records from the state bar. Miss Bradley was flipping through papers frantically. She clearly hadn't known. Your Honor, I also have a recording, obtained legally with full knowledge and consent, of Mr. Harper admitting to several material facts. I played the recording from Tuesday. Ryan's voice filled the courtroom. I knew she wasn't dying or anything, but she's completely healthy. There was never any medical situation. So you lied about her being sick to justify leaving me? Yes. So you admit you withdrew our savings to buy a house with your affair partner? Yes. And the divorce filing? The fake affair allegations against me? Christine wrote that part. She said it was strategy. The recording ended. The courtroom was silent. Judge Harrison looked at Ryan with undisguised disgust. Mr. Harper, is this recording accurate? Ryan couldn't meet his eyes. Yes, Your Honor. Miss Christine. The judge turned to her. Would you like to explain why you've been drafting legal documents without a license? Christine finally showed emotion. Fear. Your Honor, I was just helping Ryan. I didn't think. You didn't think it was illegal to practice law without a license? To forge a divorce petition containing false allegations? She had no answer. I wasn't done. Your Honor, I have one more piece of evidence. Miss Christine claims I sent her a fraudulent letter causing emotional distress. She's suing me for $100,000 based on this letter. However, I'd like to present evidence of Miss Christine's own fraudulent behavior. I handed over Marcus's report, photos of Christine with Harold Patterson, documentation of her suspended license that she'd hidden from Ryan, records of her previous marriages and fraud complaints. Miss Christine has a pattern of defrauding romantic partners. She convinced Mr. Harper to leave me, to steal marital assets, to file false allegations against me, all while conducting an affair with a wealthy married man named Harold Patterson. She was playing multiple cons simultaneously. The letter she claims caused her emotional distress simply exposed her own deception to Mr. Harper. Christine stood abruptly. Your Honor, this is character assassination. None of this is relevant to. Sit down, Miss Christine. Judge Harrison's voice was ice. You've practiced law without a license in my courtroom. You've submitted documents containing false allegations. You've participated in theft of marital assets. I'm not interested in your objections. He looked at the papers before him for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was formal and final. Mr. Harper's petition for spousal support is denied. His divorce petition is dismissed with prejudice. Mrs. Harper, you are granted leave to file your own petition for divorce on grounds of adultery and fraud. Furthermore, I am ordering a full forensic investigation into Mr. Harper and Miss Christine's financial dealings. All jointly held assets are frozen pending the investigation. Mr. Harper, you are ordered to return all funds withdrawn from the marital savings account within 30 days. Miss Christine, I am referring your case to the State Bar Association and the District Attorney's Office for potential criminal prosecution. I am also granting Mrs. Harper a restraining order against both you and Mr. Harper. Miss Christine's civil suit against Mrs. Harper is dismissed with prejudice. Court is adjourned. The gavel came down. Christine was escorted out by court security, her face ashen. Ryan sat motionless, destroyed. Jennifer grabbed my arm. You did it! My God, Alina, you actually did it! Outside the courthouse, I breathed fresh air for the first time in what felt like forever. 2 weeks later, the forensic investigation was complete. Ryan had put his entire 401k in Christine's name, along with his life insurance policy. If anything had happened to him, she would have gotten everything. The investigator confirmed what Marcus had found. Ryan wasn't Christine's partner. He was her mark. Christine fled the state. There was a warrant for her arrest for practicing law without a license and multiple counts of fraud. Ryan lost his job. The company terminated him for falsifying family leave documents. The divorce was finalized on my terms. I received half of everything, including the proceeds from selling the investment property. I kept the townhouse. Ryan walked away with nothing. My employer called 2 weeks after the court hearing. The investigation cleared me completely. They offered me not just my job back, but a promotion. Senior consultant with a significant raise. Sharon apologized personally for the suspension. 1 month after Ryan left, I stood in my townhouse, which I'd begun redecorating. New paint, new furniture, everything fresh, and mine. I thought about that Tuesday evening when I packed Ryan's bags. When I drove him to Christine's house with a smile on my face, everyone thought I was being weak, accepting, defeated. But I'd been gathering information, planning, documenting. That calm facade wasn't surrender, it was strategy. The letter in the mailbox, the thing everyone focused on, was just a catalyst, a match to start the fire. But the real work had been done in those quiet days of seeming acceptance. The forensic accountant I'd hired, the evidence I'd gathered legally, the recordings I'd made, the careful, methodical preparation. Ryan showed up one last time, a month after the court hearing. He stood at the boundary of the restraining order, on the sidewalk, looking at my house. I opened the door. You came back, I said. I had nowhere else to go. Christine is gone. My job is gone. Everything is gone. He looked broken. Hollow. Isn't this what you wanted? Me coming back? I looked at this man who'd betrayed me, who'd stolen from me, who'd tried to destroy me. This man who'd underestimated me so completely. You came back empty-handed, I said quietly. No money, no dignity, no future. And no, this isn't what I wanted. What I wanted was a faithful husband. What I got was a lesson in my own strength. I closed the door. Later that evening, I sat on my new couch with a cup of tea, thinking about what I'd learned. Grace under pressure isn't weakness. It's strategy. When someone betrays you, don't react with emotion. Respond with intelligence. The people who underestimate your calm are the same people who won't see your power until it's too late. Revenge isn't about destruction. It's about justice. And sometimes, the most elegant move is letting someone destroy themselves while you carefully, quietly, brilliantly protect yourself and your future. I'd learned I didn't need someone who would leave. I needed myself. I looked at my reflection in the window and saw not a victim, but a survivor. Not someone who was left behind, but someone who moved forward. I opened my laptop and started working on a new project proposal for work. My life, rebuilt on my terms. The elegant move wasn't just the letter, it was patience. It was preparation. It was refusing to show my hand until the perfect moment. It was trusting myself enough to play the long game. And I won. Now I want to ask you something. Have you ever had to stay calm and strategic when everything inside you wanted to react emotionally? Have you ever discovered that someone you trusted wasn't who they seemed to be? How did you handle it? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, if it reminded you that quiet strength is real strength, please hit that like button. Subscribe to hear more stories about resilience, justice, and the power of strategic thinking. And share this with someone who needs to hear that they're stronger than they know. Thank you so much for listening to my story. Remember, grace under pressure isn't weakness, it's power. And sometimes the most elegant victory is the one nobody sees coming. Take care of yourselves out there and trust your own strength. You're more capable than you know.